This whole story begins with 8 different people. They're all preparing to sit for one exam to land a job at a massive company. Some of them are motivating themselves with positive self-talk, while the rest are busy worrying about how they look. A little while later, all of them finally reach the examination hall, and it looks nothing like a normal, ordinary exam room. The lighting inside is dim, and there are security cameras in every single corner. And on top of that, the guard standing there is even carrying a gun. Seeing that gun makes everyone visibly nervous, but not a single person dares to object. A short while later, a man walks calmly into the room and welcomes all the candidates. As it turns out, these people had already cleared several exams just to reach this final one. This man introduces himself as the invigilator and carefully explains all the rules of the exam. According to these rules, no law from the outside world applies once you're inside this room. Once the timer starts running, they're not allowed to talk to either the guard or the invigilator. Breaking that particular rule gets a candidate disqualified from the exam right away. The same thing happens if someone accidentally damages their paper or steps outside the room. They only have 80 full minutes to complete this exam. Within that time, they must answer the single question printed somewhere on their paper to win the job. After laying out every rule, the invigilator asks the group if anyone has any questions. When nobody says a word, he quietly sets the timer and walks right out of the room. Right after that, everyone looks down at their own question paper, and it's blank. Seeing this leaves everyone stunned, and out of pure confusion, they start glancing at each other. Meanwhile, one girl starts writing down why she personally deserves this job. But suddenly the guard walks straight up to her and throws her out of the room, simply because she had gone ahead and ruined her own question paper. Watching all of this unfold, the rest of them get scared and sit quietly for a while. A little later, candidate number 5 suddenly realizes something rather important. According to the rules, they can't speak to either the guard or the invigilator, but there's no rule at all stopping them from talking to one another. So this man tries talking to everyone, telling them they'll have to work together as a team. They need to track down that single question and answer it before their time runs out. After this, they all start discussing exactly how they might be able to find that question, while candidate number 1 sits there in complete silence, almost as if none of it concerns him. In the middle of this, one man tries introducing himself properly to the group, but candidate number 5 stops him and suggests they should use nicknames instead, so that everyone's real identity stays hidden from one another. So they all start giving each other names, and it begins with candidate number 1. They end up naming him Deaf, since he hasn't uttered a single word so far. The rest of the boys get named after their skin tone: brown, black, and white. And the girls get named according to their hair: blood, dark, and brunette. After this, White speaks up and says maybe they can even stand up from their seats, since nobody told them there's a rule stopping them from doing that. To prove his own point, White gets up and stands right at his seat. But even then, the guard doesn't say a single word and just stands there. Here, Brunette suggests that maybe the question was written using invisible ink or some kind of watermark. Saying this, she stands up from her seat and uses the room's light to try and find it. But when she finds nothing at all on her own paper, she asks everyone else to check theirs too, since there's a chance that hidden question might be on one of their papers instead. So everyone starts checking their own papers, except for Deaf, who just sits there quietly. Seeing this, White grabs his paper and checks it under the light as well. But just like all the other papers, this one turns out to be blank too. Here, Black suggests that maybe they need actual UV rays to be able to see the question, since invisible ink only shows up when it's exposed to UV light. Right then, Blonde notices a blue-colored light glowing between the walls, which was probably a UV light. After this, everyone starts trying to find a switchboard so they can turn on those blue lights. But unfortunately, there's no switchboard anywhere in the room, and not even a single button. Here, Black says maybe those blue lights are emergency lights, and to turn them on, they'll have to switch off every other light in the room first. Brown personally thinks this plan sounds risky, so the rest of them put it to a vote. And based on that vote, they end up breaking the bulbs to plunge the room into darkness. Except for Deaf, everyone checks their question papers all over again, but they still find nothing. Seeing this, everyone gets upset, since 20 of their 80 minutes have already slipped away. After thinking it over for a while, White suddenly realizes something about candidate number 2's paper. Since she's already been disqualified from this exam earlier, he figures he can do anything with her paper now. So he walks over to her desk and starts shading the paper with a pencil, hoping that if any hidden question is on it, it might slowly start to appear. But nothing works. After that, White tears the paper into 4 separate pieces for the group to experiment with. He takes one piece over to a corner of the room and wets it using his own urine, hoping the paper might be some kind of liquid-activated material, but that idea fails as well. And for that disgusting little stunt in the bathroom, everyone curses him out badly. While they're all still thinking about their next possible move, Black and White suddenly start fighting with each other. But right in the middle of that, they notice Def quietly sitting at his seat and crying. After this, he tries to say something and tells everyone that these papers are reflecting their own image. But Def happens to be saying all of this in French, so nobody can understand a word of it. Because of that, no one pays much attention to whatever it is he's trying to say. Here, Brown offers up his own theory, telling everyone that maybe this isn't an exam at all, but some kind of betting show with the company's board members enjoying watching them suffer. At this point, a girl named Dark tells Brown that no, this company isn't like that at all, and that its CEO keeps a close eye on absolutely everything and sticks firmly to his own principles. From what Dark is saying, it becomes clear that she knows something about the company that the others don't. Here it's revealed that this girl already works in the company's pickle department. But since she isn't happy with that particular job, she applied for a much higher position instead. And to get that new post, she now needs to clear this exam. At this point, White says that the company itself directly offered him this job, while the rest of the group says that they had applied for the job themselves. One thing that all of them had in common, though, was that none of them knew anything about this company. As it turns out, the emails sent by the company clearly stated that no information would be shared with anyone until a candidate had managed to clear this particular exam first. Here, Dark reveals to everyone that this company is called Barag and that it's the biggest pharmaceutical company in the world with a monthly turnover of $20 billion. As it happens, a few years back when a pandemic first broke out around the world, this company created an antidote for that virus and ended up saving countless lives everywhere. On top of that, this company has also discovered a medicine capable of curing absolutely any disease on Earth. A little while later, Brunette notices the fire alarm mounted somewhere in the room, and seeing it gives her an idea. Activate that alarm and let it rain water inside the room. She figures that maybe all that water might just reveal the hidden question on the paper, so she goes over to the guard, pulls a lighter out of his pocket, and climbs right up onto her desk. But Brunette happens to be a little too short to reach the fire alarm from there. Right then, White hands her a piece of paper, and she burns it to finally trigger the fire alarm. After that, everyone checks their question papers again, but they still look exactly the same as before. Meanwhile, the guard walks straight over to Brunette and starts pulling her out of the room. Because the paper she'd burned to set off that alarm turns out to be her own question paper, and White had cleverly tricked her into getting herself disqualified from the exam. Furious about this whole trick, Black storms toward White and threatens to punch his lights right out. And the moment he says those words, every single light in the room suddenly switches off. It's at this point that everyone realizes all the lights in the room are voice activated. After this, Brown turns the lights back on again and warns everyone else to be extra careful. Meanwhile, watching all of this happening, Def gets nervous and starts crying at his seat. Seeing this, White walks straight over to him and starts bullying him in a cruel way, and he pushes Def so far that, fed up, Def ends up chewing on his own paper. According to the rules, Def ends up getting thrown out of the room as well, which leaves only 5 people remaining inside the room at this point. Watching all these actions from White, Black finally loses every last bit of his patience. He throws a punch straight at White, knocking him unconscious on the spot. After this, the group ties White down to a chair and gags his mouth shut using a tie. A little while later, when White finally regains consciousness, he tries to say something. Seeing this, Dark unties the gag from his mouth and gives him a chance to speak. Here, White begs them to give him his medicine right now, or else he'll end up dying. It's revealed here that White is suffering from a dangerous illness, and that he needs to take a dose of medicine every single hour just to stay alive. White then says that he already knows the answer to that question they've all been searching for, and that he'll happily tell them the answer if they just bring him his medicine first. Hearing this, Black checks through his pockets, but there's no medicine to be found anywhere on him. In the meantime, White passes out again, and his body starts shaking uncontrollably. Seeing this, Black explains that because of his illness, White is having some kind of seizure, and that there isn't much time left, so everyone rushes to go and search for that medicine. In the middle of all this, a girl finds the medicine sitting right there on Brown's table, which means Brown had hidden White's medicine away from him on purpose all along. After this, the girl tries to get White to take his medicine, but at the last second, Brown grabs the medicine and throws it straight into a nearby air vent. While the rest of them rush to try and get that medicine back, Brunette walks over to the camera and begs the invigilator to please step in and save White's life somehow. But since Brunette had gone and spoken directly to the invigilator, she too gets thrown out under the rules. After she leaves the room, Blood uses a safety pin to carefully pull the medicine back out of the vent, and finally hands White the medicine he's been desperately needing. After this, the group unties White and asks him about that mysterious question. White tells them that the question they've all been searching for this time is themselves, and that whoever manages to survive in the room once the timer runs out will win the job. The moment he says this, he rushes straight toward the guard and snatches his gun away. But when he tries to fire it, he realizes the gun only works with the guard's own fingerprint. So he goes back and unlocks the gun using the guard's fingerprint, then points it at everyone else in the room, threatening that he'll shoot anyone who doesn't immediately leave the room right now. Seeing all of this, Brown gets scared and quietly walks out of the room without saying a word. After him, Blood also starts to leave the room, but before going, she uses a voice command to turn off all the lights. The moment the lights go off, White panics badly and starts firing his gun wildly all around the room. When he finally turns the lights back on, he finds Black lying on the ground with a bullet hole in his chest. Right then, White's eyes land on the clock and he notices that the timer has run out. After this, White walks over to the camera and tells the invigilator that he's the winner of this whole competition. Just then, the guard walks up to White and shows him the exact time on his own watch. Seeing this leaves White shocked, since there are still a full 20 seconds left on the clock. But since he had already gone ahead and spoken to the invigilator before time was up, he ends up getting disqualified from the exam himself, according to the same rules. It's revealed here that while everyone was busy fighting earlier, Def had secretly sped up the timer on the clock. After this, we see Blood again, and one of her feet was technically still inside the room the whole time, which technically makes her the last person remaining inside that room. After White finally leaves the room, Blood walks back inside and tries reading the question paper, using the lens from Def's broken glasses, and this time she manages to spot the hidden question. The moment time finally runs out, Def walks calmly back into the room, and it's revealed right here that he himself is the CEO of this company. After this, Blood walks over to the invigilator and gives him the answer to that question. As it turns out, right at the start, the invigilator had asked everyone if they had any questions. And that question itself was the one single question they all needed to answer. Blood had finally managed to figure this out, and she gave her answer while there was still time left. Hearing Blood's answer, Def is genuinely impressed by her, and he offers her the position of company secretary. But she turns down this offer, telling him that she'll never work for a company that goes around taking innocent people's lives just in the name of some exam. At this point, the invigilator tells her that Black is still alive after all, and that the bullet which had injured him wasn't a real bullet at all, but a special capsule, which goes into the body and heals all the wounds, and this company invented that capsule too. After hearing all of this, Blood finally feels relieved, and she decides to accept the job offer after all. As she's about to leave, she thanks Def for everything, and with that, this incredible movie comes to an end.